Hello and welcome into another Red Out podcast. My name's Devin. I'm so glad to be back in the studio and talking Western athletics. We're going to have Matt. How's it going, Matt?
What's up, buddy?
Not much. Let's get this started.
Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
I am not ashamed to admit in the past, I've needed a therapist. We all need someone, and it's a strong person who can admit it. I talked to my doctor, who referred me to a therapist, and I really didn't have much say as to who the therapist was. But with this episode's sponsor, BetterHelp, you do. You can filter out who you would like to talk to, age, gender, religion, and more to pair you with the person who works best for you. And if the person isn't exactly who you were wanting, you're not stuck. You can switch counselors. BetterHelp strives to offer affordable, professional, and accessible online therapy. So go to betterhelp.com/redout today to save 10%. By doing this, you not only support us, you can work toward a brighter, healthier you. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode.
Yes, thank you to BetterHelp. We appreciate your support. Matt, how you been, buddy?
I've been good, man. I've been busy. Working life, bro.
Sure.
Yeah. Slinging policies.
Yes.
I know what it is.
So just a few things. I mean, we've
What
been
about you slinging the bodies?
Yeah. Actually, big news. You should refer to me now as Colonel Stewart. I actually am a Kentucky Colonel now. So
congratulations.
So there you go. Thank you, sir.
Kentucky Colonel.
Yeah, we had a individual. We took care of his friend, and he approached us. I say us, the funeral home staff, and was like, "Are y'all colonels?" And we're like, "No." And he's like, "Well, I guess you will be now." Okay. And he sent it off, and we were all like, "Cool." So, but yeah, so, and as you all may have noticed, we are missing someone tonight.
Oh.
Our little buddy Jared has moved out of the basement. And he's got a girlfriend now. And she stole him away from us. I'm kidding about the last part, but seriously, he's got some more responsibilities with his job and other activities, so he's not able to join us a lot this season. But he said as soon as he's able, he's going to try and come on the podcast again. And we look forward to that, and wish him all the best because, he's our little buddy. I did tell him, though, I saw some of his pictures online. I didn't know he could grow facial hair. I didn't know that he had got to that age yet. But hey, you know what? Congratulations, buddy. I'm proud of you. So,
Jared.
But all the best to Jared. Yeah, seriously. I hope he's doing good and everything. And congratulations.
Throughout the season, we should just randomly call to him and have awkward silence. Jared, what do you think?
Yep. Jared. But sorry, I'm trying to send the podcast to a few people real quick as we're doing this. But congratulations, Matt. I saw that you got the child porn charges dropped, so good job. Appreciate it. I don't know how you did that.
Okay, we're
congratulations.
Just kicking it off. Yep. All right. Okay, buddy. Yes, thank you. It's
You're welcome.
Quite the relief.
And but no, seriously, hey, glad to see you're doing good and work and everything. So
yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
I've been biking. This
You've
summer.
been biking?
On the bike.
Awesome.
Yeah, had you seen that? I rode a few weeks ago.
I saw where you and a group, or you followed a group of bikers. How about that? Bicyclists?
A group of bikers.
You followed them around.
Sounds like another one of my creepy hobbies. Thanks a lot for painting it that way. Me and my biker friends.
Well, that's okay. You've seen Super Troopers.
Yeah.
right? You saw that back in the day where they were
Yeah.
like supposed to meet up, and she's dressed as a biker chick, and he's dressed as a cyclist because she told him to wear biker clothes. Yeah, great. I love that movie. But anyway,
Oh yeah, every time I say like, oh, I had something about my bike, they're like, oh, you have a motorcycle? I'm like, no, not the cool kind. The one without the motor, the one you have to put effort into. Yeah, that's what I ride.
I actually have not ridden I've got a motorcycle. My wife's got a motorcycle. We have not ridden our motorcycles since before Abby was born.
Really?
I just honestly didn't have a lot of time. And I mean, like, first off, I'm not riding that thing through town. Any town, it does not matter. I'm gonna ride through the back country, where there's nobody around, because people are stupid. And working at a funeral home, you always see like the worst of things. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like we see all the worst things, and so we're actually probably going to get rid of our motorcycles. I mean, especially with the kid. So,
It's kind of hard to bring her along there.
well, I mean, she could technically, but I would not feel safe, and wouldn't be an option for me.
Strap her on there.
Yeah, yeah, but just put her in one of those little sling things, and yeah, put her on my back. Yeah, no, I don't want to look like Bobby Petrino, and she be on the back. So
his volleyball friend.
yeah, she was just riding somehow. Didn't get a scratch on her. Biggest news I've got from the summer. Obviously, one of the last things we talked about before our summer break was Davion McKnight leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And he left. So there's that. Spoiler alert, people.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah, he's gone. So congratulations to him. I hope he does well. I hope he starts where did he end up? He went
Xavier.
Xavier, there you go. I knew it was a bigger.
Yeah, it's just like a group of 5 transfer ground at this point. Like they just, like they took the guy from UTEP, Sule Boom, and whatever, which is like one of the coolest names ever.
Yeah, I was about to say that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but he ended up doing really well, and I hope Davion does well too. But it's always kind of, it's kind of scary to to go to quote unquote the bigger program or the better roster, and then you hope they don't get washed out and get lost in the shuffle.
That honestly, that was my fear, is that and I'm don't get me wrong, I want him to do well and I want him to succeed and make it pro and all that stuff, but I don't want him to get lost in the wash.
Mm-hmm.
When he moves to Xavier or some of these other players leave out, then it kind of makes it useless for them to have left.
Right.
But on the flip side of the coin, some of these bigger schools, some of these kids leave Xavier and come to a quote Western, and they don't do as well either. So it could go both ways.
That's true.
Do you have anything else that we missed over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of made a quick list.
Okay.
I have a couple of things, and you named some in your when we were kind of talking beforehand. But baseball had a really nice end of the season, and they ended up getting, I think it was the 4 seed.
Okay.
I've slept since then. I didn't have as much time to prep today, but I'm pretty sure it was a 4 seed. Yeah, because they were playing Dallas. They were in Dallas Baptist side of the bracket, but they got a 4 seed, which is the first time in a long time that we've even been that close to the top of the conference, and really had a nice year. And then right after, there was all this drama with them too. Like getting rid of all these players, and there was like,
well, a lot of players were transferring, and
well, a lot of weird stuff was coming out. Like people were like some of the parents, and it was some odd stuff that I think is newsworthy to mention. It was some weird comments, coming from different angles about how things were handled and whatever. So
yeah,
and a
lot of it hasn't, and like the reason I really haven't brought it up or said anything about it is it's not really been corroborated by outside sources. Does that make sense? So it's only there's a handful of people who are kind of saying yes, this is what happened, and then but we don't have anything else saying things happened.
Well,
So,
I mean, to clarify what I guess what we do know, basically, there were people complaining, saying there was that basically that Raridan had kind of said, that most of the team could, pack up and leave, even though he kept them on in his first year and then let them go after whatever. And so anyway, a lot of it's conjecture after that. But
yeah.
the bottom line is a ton of players left, and it looks totally different. And I mean, here's the main thing: is I hope all the kids that did leave, I hope they land well, and I hope they have successful careers. And then I hope going forward that Western baseball is good, and that it's a good environment and all that type of stuff.
I would be completely fine with Western baseball, doing really well and making it to, a Louisville or UK level program. You know what I'm saying? Like if they make it to that level of a program with they're consistently doing well, then I'm completely happy with the program.
Well, yeah, I mean Louisville's been
and that's what I'm saying.
Good.
Yes, so
that's the standard.
Yes,
anything less and fire them.
Yes, well, I mean, and that was the thing. That was the weird thing that kind of made everybody kind of give a weird look, because it was like, they had a really good season, and then things were starting to be said online and other places that, you just kind of went,
yeah,
it's weird.
It was definitely, after the season they had, historically good for the last decade.
Yeah.
Broke a lot of the trends in the last decade of the whole program.
Yeah.
In that. So it was odd. But
yeah, very odd.
I guess to get to transition a little bit, the conference in baseball, and really a lot of some of these, especially the ancillary sports, some of the especially non-football, it seems like the conference is going to be pretty decent in general. And that was some of the bigger summer news, is obviously bringing in the four new schools. Liberty, New Mexico State, Sam Houston State, and Jacksonville State. So I know some of those other sports are pretty interesting to look at how good their programs really are.
I'm interested in Liberty for sure. I mean, Liberty's always had. Of course, they've kind of got an unusual story, so to speak. There's some things been going on in their past, along with some others, but there's interesting stories going around about them. But we still do have some old faces still in Conference USA. Florida International, we've got La Tech, Middle Tennessee, and UTEP are still stuck here with us in this depressing Jimmy Buffett land of Conference USA. But so which team are you more excited to see, Matt? As far as
I think hands down the most interesting, immediate arch rival is going to be Liberty. If you look at every one of their programs, they're a lot like Western in tons of ways, and basically it's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 in some sports where we're 2 of the top 3 teams in the whole conference.
Yeah,
and so I mean I think it's an immediate we might be being nice to each other on Twitter because nothing's really happened yet, but I think it's going to be a bloodbath here within 6 months. We're all going to hate each other.
I was going to say, I think
there's going to be something nasty that happens
October 25th,
and it's going to be
it's going to start because we're going to be playing on the 24th. So we'll see how that works out.
Somebody's going to hate somebody.
Exactly. And of course, what's your least favorite team to see? Probably New Mexico State, Sam Houston. Team that you're just ugh.
I don't really know. I mean, They all, I think they're all decent. I mean, maybe like Jacksonville State's interesting because they got Ray Harper. That's
Yeah.
immediately something to talk about at least. I mean, I think the least interesting, maybe it is New Mexico State. I mean, there's like no connection to them in many ways. I think they were in the Sun Belt a little bit when Western was there for a few years.
I
So there's
see,
some kind of history, but I mean, yeah, that's definitely not much of a connection there.
but I think they were like a Dakota, North Dakota, or whatever when Western was there. You know what I'm saying? Because like Western didn't play them in football because football wasn't. They weren't in football. Their Let me try to explain this.
Well said.
That sport was not in conference in the Sun Belt when they were there. It was another sport that was there because Western's done that before.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah, Western used to be in the Sun Belt, but we were in the we were in the Gateway and other conferences.
yes, because I think soccer and maybe track was actually in Sun Belt when we were not yet. So,
yeah, basketball was in the Sun Belt forever.
you loud as all get out, kid.
How old is she now, man?
She's 3.
3.
Be 4 in January. She's 3 going on 30. So
3 going on 30. Yeah.
Yes, she argues
my
with
daughter's
everything.
born in December. One of my daughters, and she'll be 4 in December. So they're basically the same age.
Yeah, pretty much. So you understand my pain.
Oh, absolutely.
Side note, she's actually started the infant self-rescue swimming.
Okay.
And the first couple weeks she was not a fan, and actually she's doing well now. So
that's awesome, man. Hey, that's really good to get them started that early.
Well, okay. I'll tell all our listeners, I was a skeptic, and I'm not going to lie. My mother-in-law came up with it, so automatic skeptical, right? Mother-in-law's come up with it, you automatically go,
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, what's it got? What is an infant going to do? Right. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking infant self-rescue. Okay. She is, she's going to float. She's going to teach herself to float, and she's going to wait for us to come get her. I'm like, that does nothing to save her life. And then I read a lady's blog online. Of course, this was after my wife and I got in a fight about it, so there we go. There's that.
Mandatory reading time.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, let me check the next link on Google. And this lady was talking about her experiences with it, and I started reading, and it's talking about, kids that are between 1 and 4, they teach them to swim to the side, the ladder, etc. And I was like, okay, and then when they get tired, they teach them to float. And I was like, okay, I can go along with this. Okay, because she's actually learning to swim.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first couple of weeks, like the first week, they taught her to float. And of course, she started having, I won't say issues, but she was very hesitant to relax. So the teacher's like, okay, if you don't want to relax, you're going to swim. So she started swimming. That next week or so was awful. Yeah, we're on week. We've got 4 weeks left, I should say, and she's actually doing a lot better. So,
well, good, man.
But I digress. So no joke. It's a good thing, and if parents, if you want to do that for your kid, I would find somebody who's got, who's accredited or whatever with the classes and stuff, and go from there. Because I think it is useful for them, for kids, but. If it's preventable, you can save your kid's life. You might as well do it.
I would think so, Devin. That would be a good move.
Thanks, Matt. Jared, what do you think?
We're fighting against
it. Okay, so
Starbucks.
Yes. So football. We got another week. Or let's see. First game is September 2nd. So next Saturday. Yeah, ish. because we're recording this on Wednesday. So next Saturday is going to be Western's first game. We're going to be playing South Florida. It will be on CBS Sports Network. We will talk about the media rights a little bit later in the episode. And it's been a hot topic online, and people are not a big fan of it. And the state-run media is definitely playing double time, trying to keep things under wrap. Just saying. Western will be playing South Florida. And that's at home, so that'll be a good game. 3:30 p.m. On that next Saturday. So Matt, I know you've been to some of the some of the practices during summer workouts and summer camp, fall camp, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Western thus far?
Well, I went to one practice, and so. I mean, most of the time they just were in trouble, so there wasn't much. It made them do up downs for half the practice, so that was what I learned. This team has no discipline. I mean, I don't know what to say. No, but I think overall, like you kind of hear rumblings and you kind of follow some of what they're saying, even in interviews and stuff, and just kind of trying to understand the makeup of the team. I think it seems like obviously we're going to be pretty solid. I mean, we returned a lot of, like if you look at position groups, there's basically a star or someone that is predicted to be a star in every position group.
Cool.
We return someone that is a quality starter in just about every position group. Now, that doesn't mean that every position group has a proven starter to go next to them, like some of your linebackers and D-line and stuff like that. But you've got some pieces that you can definitely say, okay, if we have somebody that's decent next to them, we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
And so I think overall, it honestly seems like the defense is completely fine. There's a lot more. I think there's pretty good depth in the secondary and linebackers and stuff. And then I think the D-line seems like it's going to be okay. It's hard to know. I think we're looking pretty solid there. Actually, I think ironically, maybe the biggest worry spot seems to maybe be receiver depth. Like they moved Willie Taggart Jr. I can't believe he's in college. But,
dude, I'm looking at his picture on ESPN, and he reminds me of K1 Jakes from a distance. Like when right before you click on it, because K1 Jakes used to have the little roll, what are those corn rolls? Is that the right one?
Yeah,
he used to have those too, just like that. And I mean, they weren't as long as Willie's, but good lord. But that's what it reminds me of from a distance. Yeah, when I click on it, he looks just like his dad in the face. Little Will used to be hoot back in the day.
Yeah, he was
like,
awesome, man.
What was he, like 8 years old back then? Because it's been, it's been 12 years at least.
2010 was when he first came around.
And he's a sophomore, so I'd assume he's about 20. So he was probably about 7 or 8 years old, maybe. I don't even know.
I guess he was. I thought he was a little older than that, but he would have been 10 or 11 when they were about to leave. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess he was that young, but he was funny. Like I remember one time he asked Andrew Jackson about, and Andrew Jackson was a big scary linebacker and a real serious guy, and Willie goes, "Andrew, were you named after the president?" And Drew goes, "I just play football. That's all I do." Oh, God.
Yeah, the thing that our listeners may not understand about Andrew Jackson is that he didn't go home after practice. He plugged into his locker. He had a little charger there, and then he just played football. So, God knows where he's ended up now, but, yes, my favorite thing Little Will did was he was telling me one time Of course, he was. I mean, this is elementary school age kid, and he comes up to me during practice and he goes, "Hey, I got a scholarship to go play at Bowling Green High." I thought to myself, no wonder you're the Western's coach's kid. But I thought, it was like, hey, good job, congratulations, you're in elementary school, cool.
Yeah.
So, do you think there's going to be a little issue on the offensive line this year, or do you think they're okay?
Offensive line, I think. I think for sure. I think we'll have a good first few that I think we can pretty much know they're going to be good. But from what some of them said, I think it seems like we got some good pickups and we have some depth. I don't know. That's something that, like, from just observing, I thought that we might be a little shallow there, not have much depth. But from some of what's come out, I think they think they're fine on offensive line, and I think running back seems to be deeper than people would think. I think running backs could be pretty good. So weirdly enough, it's kind of receivers and tight ends too are a concern. I don't know, but it seems like receiver is the biggest question mark besides Corley and Dalvin Smith. And
okay,
yeah.
Okay, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Turner Helton.
Okay.
This is not Coach Helton's son, is it?
No,
it's his nephew, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I thought, dear Lord, do not give us a freaking Coach Cal thing again, except it's football this time. But I just saw that on the roster, and I was like, good Lord.
Yeah, it's funny. He actually signed up with his uncle over his dad at Georgia Southern. So, I think speaking of him, I think he's definitely a better fourth arm in the bullpen, so to speak, than we ever had when we were at Western. It's amazing the level of each one of the arms that we have. Like, I think all four of them could have probably started at some point while we were there, Devin. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Well, I'm
the
sure.
level.
Well, I mean, Austin Reed, I have no doubt there at least.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't know about Bronson Barron. He's a junior.
Yeah, he transferred from Weber State, and he played some at Weber State. So he's like that's a FCS program, but
yeah,
he played some. I think he's a pretty good prospect, and he left because they had a coaching change and stuff. I think he's probably your backup. And then you got Veltkamp, who's the strength coach's son. I think he's got the most upside potential of anybody.
Yeah,
he's got a nice big body and a heck of an arm. I like him a lot. If we can get him to stick around, I think he'll be, when he gets to play here.
Dude, he's 6'6" and 235. Good gosh,
he's a big kid. Yeah,
yes, he is.
He's been big the whole time, but he's really filled out some even more. And I like him a lot.
I like him a lot.
I like it a lot. But, yeah, seriously, he's a good prospect.
That's good. Yeah.
That's good. There's Turner.
Yeah.
Old healthy poo. But I think he's any one of those. I think are at least remotely competent enough to go in a game, which is something that you wouldn't have wanted back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were young men that played at Western that I think would have done okay their freshman year. Brandon Dowdy is the biggest one because, like, he was there in like 1999. But no joke, like, he was there forever. But he did, I think he actually started. Was it his freshman or sophomore year? And then he got hurt.
His redshirt freshman year.
There you go.
He got the start against Navy, and he blew out his leg one of the first plays of the game.
Yeah, and then he was out. Which, by the way, I want to say it was like the first drive or two. It was really right there, right at the beginning, and then he got hurt. And those first two drives looked awesome for for a redshirt freshman. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
Brandon was unique in that, like he just came in, and I believe he had a lot of training and whatever, but he was really polished for like such a young player. His feet were great. Like some of these guys they'll come in and they just look like, even Veltkamp kind of looks like that still, like he's still thinking about his feet. Brandon, when he came in, was just ready to go. As far as his footwork, I mean, not quite, but he still had work to do, but he really had nice feet, and it makes a big difference when. Are you laughing at something?
Yes, I am laughing because I'm just picturing you. Like,
Brandon had. Oh my gosh!
I'm just thinking of like you're like.
Can we have an adult conversation here, man? Come on now.
Not between the two of us, no.
No, you're right.
But I mean, you're. I mean, I imagine you're right.
You're childish, bro.
But he's. Come on, child, please. But like Veltkamp, I mean, he's a freshman. He's 6'6". 235, so he's going to be long and lanky, and there's going to be some issue. You know what I mean? So he's going to have some kind of growing pains. Like, it sounds bad, but like when I see a kid that's that big, I picture like the baby Great Dane, or something like that, or like that kid that was that 12-year-old that was like 8 foot tall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen videos of that kid, but he's playing basketball. And he's like 7 foot, playing against other fifth graders and just trouncing them like I would. But that's what I picture. But I mean, and other big names on the roster that we've got back. Irvin Poindexter's coming back at running back, and then we've got. Sorry, I'm scrolling here. Malachi Corley's back at wide receiver. What was the injury? Or is that public?
I don't know exactly. There was some rumblings that maybe Matheson, the kind of the second or third receiver, may be out for a little bit. Like at first we heard he might be out the whole season. Blah, blah, blah.
Michael Matheson, he's a senior.
Matheson. Yeah. I mean, he was pretty decent last year and produced some. So it's definitely concerning, especially because it seems like if you watch some of the interviews and stuff, they're talking about like trying to get the receivers to step up and trying to, put them in situations to see what happens when the lights come on and all this stuff. And they're saying stuff like that. And it's like, crap, I think they're a little concerned about this. So with an injury.
You're talking about wide receivers. I was scrolling through the roster. There's a Scottsville dude playing for Western. Jax Cooper. That is awesome.
Yeah, but
I did not realize that until I just saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I will definitely be.
Teams
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, but we usually get overlooked by the Bowling Green snobs, so it's whatever. I mean, no
chip on
bad
the shoulder
feelings or no.
Did you
no
get
chips.
looked over as a trainer?
You looked over as a trainer.
Did you
get
looked over as a trainer?
No. Doc E was like, "You're a guy. Yeah, come on, let's do this." No, I honestly like my interview with Doc E was like he was like, "Come on in here." He's like, "You need to shave the beard," because I had a full beard at that point. And I was like, okay. So I shaved it down to a goatee. And I mean, basically the rest is history. He's just like, yep, you're good. Let's go.
Shave your beard.
Yeah, that's the game. Yeah, basically. Yeah, it's no joke. Because I remember I had of course, like high school kids, you're just learning. Well, I won't say learning, but you're just able to grow beards or facial hair. So you're like, oh, okay. So I started growing it out like my spring semester. I think I started growing the beard. And then, so, I went and talked to him and stuff, and he was like, yeah, you shaved the beard, you're good. So, yeah, basically it was like, okay. Yeah, Doc. Oh, yeah, Doc was super laid back.
I couldn't grow facial hair until I was like 30. I'm serious. I don't know if you've seen pictures or whatever, but I got this like goatee thing. I don't know.
Yes. Yours
And
is like a traditional goatee, though.
yeah, well, that's all I can grow. Like I've trimmed it only a few times in like 2 years.
Yeah.
This is like basically fully grown for 2 years. This is what I got.
Now, see, my wife prefers me clean shaven, but I hate shaving around my mouth. Lips are like the hardest thing to shave. So I'm like, when my child was born, I was like, I'll have some time off work. I can start growing it. It won't be as, because I always feel awkward, if we have a family and I've got got scruff. I'm like, mm-mm. So I use that time to grow my facial hair, or at least start. And so
there you go.
I've had a goatee now for 3 years, and before that I've had it off and on for several years. But back to football. Nobody cares about my facial hair.
Yeah.
I have heard that Blue Smith is really good.
Blue Smith. Okay.
Yes, he's a senior out of Huber Heights, Ohio. 6'4", 210 pounds. I've heard he's pretty good, so maybe somebody to watch for. Of course, we got Josh Stearns back. He's a sophomore this year. Hopefully, we'll get some.
Oh yeah. I like his look. Yeah, he looks like a.
Which, by the way, Blue Smith is like cool. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like you name your kid a color. I mean, that's crazy, but it's funny. And then you've got, of course, we got a lot of Louisville kids here too, a lot of Bowling Green kids. I did not realize how many kids we got.
They've done a pretty good job. I mean, they've done a pretty good job recruiting some local kids.
Yeah,
it's nice to see.
It's
something that they've missed out on. You mentioned Blue Smith. Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning. He went to Ohio State and then transferred to Cincinnati. He's the number 39 overall player according to Rivals in his class. He was a 4-star receiver.
Okay.
So
wow.
Yeah.
Of course, Willie Taggart Jr.
Pretty solid.
I mean, were you really surprised when Little Will came? I will call him Little Will until the day I die. But were you surprised when Little Will came to Western after Coach lost his job, Coach Taggart?
I mean, I guess,
See, I'm not. I really was not. I was not surprised. I was not surprised. And the reason I say that is kind of Western was kind of home to him. Well, at least Little Will, I mean, his dad went here. FAU really did not provide anything for Coach Taggart. And I'm sure it was like, I don't, his dad, I don't know if his dad had any influence on it or not, but it was probably like, go to Western. Cool. I mean, am I alone in this? Okay.
No, I mean, no, I think, I don't know. I didn't know what to think. I mean, you don't know how they feel about stuff, and, I'm not like pretending like I'm ever close to them or anything, but it's nice to see that.
Well, you're the only one, because
like
I completely think I'm close to him, so that's fine.
Oh, well, congratulations. But, I mean, meanwhile.
Not in the slightest, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nice to see, like, there could be some bitterness. There could be some kind of like, weird thing like, oh, I don't want to go to my dad's school or that kind of stuff. And it's nice to see that he wanted to come here. And he said, he basically said, I'm coming back home. Like, that's awesome for him to say something like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then, of course, I was just looking at another name I was looking at. Of course, we did lose several offensive linemen. We lost Gunner to Auburn. Rusty ended up going to Texas Tech. And Ndukwe went to Houston. He didn't really play that much, though, did he?
Let's see, Ndukwe.
From what I remember, he really didn't play that much. He just kind of was like there. I mean, it sounds bad to say, and the bad thing is we don't know how these guys that ended up transferring, how they're going to do for at least 2-3 more weeks at least, if they're even starting.
Yeah, for sure. 3 seasons at Western, appeared in 13 games. Yeah, he didn't play very much. That's interesting.
Yeah, but he ended up going to Houston.
Yeah, wow.
And then
I don't know why. He's only a sophomore, so I mean, maybe
maybe that's what it was. But this is one name I'm going to say, and I'm going to butcher it, and I hope he does not play. No offense, buddy. Are you ready? I think it's Quantavious Smith. Quantavious Smith. Or Quantavious Leslie, excuse me. You know who I was thinking of? I was thinking of Quinterrence. That's who I was just thinking of. But this guy's name is Quantavious Leslie.
I think it's Quantavious. Pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Quantavious.
He will be Leslie.
Yep. Yeah, it's better than Joel E.A. Booneway.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We've had some names, man.
Of course, now defensive side. How are you feeling with the defensive line? I've heard the defensive line's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was concerned about the defensive line because, I mean, technically Donut Evans is really a linebacker, but he's pretty much like kind of both.
Yeah.
He's kind of a linebacker, kind of a D lineman. I mean, he's going to get 10 plus sacks or he's going to get real close.
Yeah.
So he's obviously a presence up front. But yeah, the other D line positions are definitely you're kind of looking for somebody to step up. I mean, you lost Broderick Martin, who got drafted really high, and then another person that I really liked was Lorenzo Hernandez. He went somewhere I think he's in Arena League or something. But
wow,
he was a pretty solid player too.
Speaking of, we have to note that Lucky Jackson is playing for the Vikings. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, I saw that earlier. I saw that, in the spring, I think, after the XFL season, and Lucky's actually he got signed by the Vikings, so congratulations to him. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. There were a lot of speaking of which, there were a lot of Western players that are former Western players or whatever. Like Ja'Cour Pearson got some looks in the NFL, and some other guys too that were in the XFL and got a shot. So I'm glad to see some toppers getting some respect.
Yes, congratulations. I found another name on the roster. Okay, you ready? He plays defensive back. You ready? Abdul Latif Adua. Abdul Latif Adu. Number 27. He's from Van Nuys, California.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough name for me this year. But we do have Jacquez Evans. He's back playing linebacker. And let's see.
Yeah, I mean, there's some nice on the defense. There's like Talik Allen is there.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good one that made some plays. Upton Stout has been on some lists for sure. Rome Weber was another role player. I think he'll play a bigger role. Let's see. Where's the positions? There we go. Let's see who else. Talik Allen. Kendrick Simpkins is another one that I recognize.
Yeah. Junior out of Montgomery, Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there are some good pieces there for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to see if there's anybody else that I recognize. But yeah, I think the defense surprisingly might be the more sure unit. I don't know if that's true, but obviously got Austin Reed, Malachi Corley. You're probably going to be fine on offense, but
I mean, and we're just making assumptions based off what we're seeing, and what we've heard from some people, closer to the program than we are. Of course, we do have Corey Munson back. He is a senior this year, so best of luck to him this year. We've got let's see, we've got Tom Ellard. Oh, he's from Melbourne. He's a sophomore. That's great. Got to have those Aussie kickers. Is he the Aussie kicker? Was he the one
last year?
Okay.
Yeah, he was the punter last year. I mean, I think I'll say this, and I don't want to, kind of dog on him or whatever, but I think he had a lot of some lucky bounces, so I think it increased his numbers a little bit. So
I'm good with that.
He kind of gets that. Yeah, no, I mean that part of that is him. Nothing wrong with being lucky.
Hey, as long as it's rolling their way and not ours, I'm fine.
Yeah, and I think it had to do with him. Honestly, his placement was really good. The fact that the ball was bouncing on the ground means you kicked it away from the guy that's trying to catch the ball. It's not a bad thing.
Amen.
But
yep.
I do think he got a little lucky on some stuff. So I'm hoping that he'll get that length, like actual length, and not, get some lucky bounces to have a nice average. Like, hopefully, he'll be a little more solid on the length of his punt, without the bounce. So we'll see. I think
that's he's a good
player, and he did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll do great. But that's something, and I don't know if that's necessarily a recent thing or the last 5 or 6 years, but Australian kickers or punters in the U.S. are playing for college teams is like a new thing. I just feel like it's just like it's almost like if you don't have one, it's unlucky. You've got to have an Aussie kicker. So I guess we finally made it to the last talking point of the night. The grant of rights media deal Western signed with Conference USA to essentially I'll let you explain it because I feel like I'm going to butcher it or say something. I'm going to put my mouth in. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay,
so there you go.
All right. So let's set the stage. So basically, yesterday, this guy named Chris Vanini, sounds like Panini, put out a tweet that had an article attached. He works with The Athletic, and basically it says, among other things in the article, so it wasn't just about this, but it mentions this paragraph, and then the main comment on the article is about this grant of rights thing. And it's like, what is that? I've never heard of this crap. What is this? And so apparently all the teams in the league agreed to basically waive their rights to have autonomy in the deal with Conference USA. Basically, Conference USA is in charge of the TV money for these schools. And so from a WKU perspective, when you got all of this conference realignment going on and all this extra stuff, and there's the Pac-4 and all this stuff where teams are probably going to get plucked from somewhere to fix gaping holes in conferences. And basically what this means is you've tied yourself up for the next 5 or 6 years is what it definitely looks like.
Yes.
And so people started freaking out on Twitter. I mean, there was a lot of big meltdown from everybody, including like some big names, people that you wouldn't expect to be publicly freaking out. And so Todd and Caboni and others, HAF or whatever, they had some damage control to do because nobody really knew about this. And it's almost like this got announced and nobody at Western knew a thing. And then all of a sudden, we've signed away our rights for 5 or 6 years. So
yeah. So then we're stuck,
Yeah, that's what it feels like. And so then you got the narrative of, them trying to basically spin it or try to answer the questions that are getting fired at them left and right. And Todd actually addressed it at the WKU-HAF dinner. Do you have the audio of that? Or
yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, somebody just sent a message, so it kind of screwed up my. We actually had a new commitment from. A young man whose dad played at South Carolina. Let me see if I can get this to pull up. Here we go.
You look at some of the schools.
Good Lord.
That's atrocious.
Yeah, I don't know why it did that.
Okay, so
Let me see if it. Let me hold on. Hold on a second. Let me try this.
Okay, all right.
Let me turn my volume down. So I'm not going to be able to hear you for just a second while I'm playing this. Okay, here we go.
UAB's won 3 bowl games in the history of their football program. We won strings last.
Why is it doing that?
No.
There we go.
Colorado's won 1 bowl game this century, so prime time's got his work cut out for him.
I figured it out. I'm an idiot, but there we go.
Our program is on a roll, and I'm really excited to see what happens this year. But because of that success, because of reaching the postseason and succeeding, we've become both nationally relevant and we have a great national identity. We really, truly do. Volleyball, we can have a banquet on.
Okay, Matt, is this after this? Where is this?
That's the later video.
Okay, sorry, I got the wrong video then.
There was one.
Oh, here it is. Found it.
That was,
rights, and what a grant of rights is that just signs over your media rights to the conference. The reason that was done is to secure what is now the best television deal that we've ever been a part of. If we did not sign the grant of rights, there would not have been a television deal. It's pretty hard to have a significant conference if you don't have a television deal. So that was the reasoning behind signing the grant of rights, that CBS and ESPN would not have moved forward if we did not do that. However, if there's a conference opportunity that we wish to explore, we can do so, just like before. The fact that we signed the grant of rights, that does not prevent us from pursuing any opportunity that we want to explore. So I just wanted to clarify that. Overall, this TV deal, which I'll talk about in a minute, is really excellent. It's far more exposure than we ever had. And it's also twice the revenue that we had before. So that's a big step forward for us. But that's a good segue into college athletics and where we find things right now. You all pay attention to it, as I know that you do. It's a very turbulent time, or it can be, for college athletics, and there's a lot of things that none of us have control over, but there's a lot of things that we do have control over. And I truly do feel right now there's never been a better time to be here than there is right now. There's never been a better time to be a student athlete at Western Kentucky than there is right now, for a number of reasons. And it starts with our people. We have terrific leadership throughout our athletic department, and it starts with our head coaches. We just have a phenomenal group of head coaches who recruit.
Okay, I'm done listening to that. But essentially what I'm getting is that Todd makes it almost sound as if like this was the greatest thing ever. From what we're hearing, Western's payout is around $800,000 for this media deal.
Right.
I don't know what we were looking at before. Do what?
Also to preface this, this came from some people that had seen the conversation, and they sent this audio to us. So somebody recorded this and and sent it to us. So, but anyway,
well, evidently it wasn't you or I. So
I wasn't there. They came to us, but. Basically, it's 800,000. It was, I think it was like 400 and something. So it basically doubles the TV revenue per year. And when you compare it to the other conferences, I've seen some numbers, and I know.
Okay.
Fletcher.
I do have some pulled up right here.
Okay.
In the article that was on the towel rack, an ON3 report from 2021 had some schools in the Sun Belt making $500,000 a year from their media deals. Skimming through, there was another site that reported back in 2014 that the max payout over its then announced 13-year deal was in the $600,000 range. So if we could be anywhere from 7 to 8, but sources have said it's around 8.
Right.
So
Basically, it's a good deal.
But we're locked in for 6 years at least.
Right. It's 5 years with a 6-year option. So 5 to 6 years is probably 6 years. And basically what happens is we would have to buy ourselves out of the agreement. And so I've seen different numbers on what the buyout would actually be. But basically it just makes us a little less attractive to have to deal with that crap of getting out of this deal to go to another conference.
Well, I think I do agree. I think it's more on the end of trying to stabilize these chaotic conferences. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So instead of having people jump from conference to conference to conference, they are now implementing consequences essentially for you to jump. Where Western, I mean, essentially we have a coaching buyout now from one of the numbers I heard, this is in the millions to buy out. And that's something you can't jump out of.
It's an additional buyout.
Yes.
It's an additional buyout too. So you got your Conference USA buyout and then you got your TV buyout. So now your buyout is whatever the number is. It's
which I've heard 5 mil.
Have to come up with.
Yeah,
5 million. I've heard that it's 800. Whatever. I don't know what the number is. To me, it doesn't really matter. What the number is. What it's done is it's dragged us into a difficult situation where
it's handcuffed us.
In 2 years, the AAC. Yeah, if the AAC wants us, then they've either got to accept that we're going to be worth less because somebody's got to pay something, or we're going to have to come up with the money or whatever. And it just makes it more difficult to be able to move instead of them being like, well, I can go pluck a team from the Sun Belt and not have to deal with this crap. And, Western's not in a big market anyway, so why do we really need them? They look nice, but they look like a hassle.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. And that's, and like you said, it may be, like you said, I know you said there was a source that said 800,000 was the buyout. That could just be part of the other buyout, like you said. It could be what I'm saying is this, that could be part of the buyout of the conference would be the 8. And then the other part of that buyout could be the other. I don't know. That's just a number that was told to me today. And so it was like, holy shnikes. But Western, what makes me kind of chuckle is Western's doing damage control on this. So they are trying to spin the narrative that this was a good thing. And I mean, don't get me wrong. If they're getting $800,000 a year for this TV deal, that's good money for Western. But the 6 years that people don't want to be in this conference anymore is the problem. We had big names like Marshall leaving, and we want to be in there too. Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
No, you're good, man. I mean, you were talking. I was trying to interrupt you. You're good. But I think one thing that stands out to me as an issue is one way or another, this was screwed up. Whether it's about the deal itself, that this is a little long to have to commit that you're waiving your TV rights for 5 years, or the fact that we didn't know about this and it was already done a year ago, and so we're all getting blindsided by the fact that 1 year ago we tied ourselves into Conference USA despite some of this other stuff that's actually come out after. So that's what's disturbing, I think, is like you had inside like donors who were talking to the players and administration on a weekly to even sometimes daily basis.
And had no idea. Yeah, no clue.
And some dude from the Athletic posts about it, and that's how they find out after this has been done for a year.
Yeah,
so
that's what's
scary. Why would you not be ahead of this and be proactive and talk about how great it is for a whole year? So when this comes out, it's like, oh, no big deal. Everybody knew that anyway. And
Yeah.
they allowed the narrative to go on for half a day before they addressed it, and they didn't even address it publicly. This just happened to be somebody pulled out a cell phone and recorded something. But otherwise, we wouldn't even know some of this information.
Yeah.
You know, like
Which if it's such a great
some kind
deal.
of misstep.
Well, and I agree. My thing is if it's such a great deal, then why are we covering it up? You know? That's my thought. Why, if it's like, okay, hypothetically, Matt, you go out and buy a cake, you don't come home and put the cake in the cupboard for a year before you get it out or tell anybody about it. You're going to go eat home and eat the cake and tell everybody you got cake. It's a great deal. Woohoo, this is awesome. But no, that's not what happened. They went home and they were like, it's almost like it was a walk of shame, you know. Todd and Gaboni are doing the walk of shame home because of this deal, and it's like, I don't know about this, guys. But you know, I don't know.
Gaboni has his bow tie like strung over his shoulder.
I was thinking it was like
walking home with,
you know, it's like disheveled, his hair's messed up. But like, I mean, we'll just have to see how this turns out. Honestly,
yeah,
it sounds bad, but what may have to happen in an ideal world is that Coach Helton leaves, and we use his buyout money to pay to get out of this deal. That may be what happens. That's the scenario that I'm playing out right now.
Yeah, I mean, that would provide some cash flow, but I mean, one thing about this, like, let's not be completely negative because there are some positives to this. Like, everybody is worried about what if Conference USA disintegrates? Well, if it does, that's because somebody has committed suicide, basically, to their finances. I mean, so it does lock in all these teams that we've currently got, and then honestly, it could be attractive to other teams to bring more in and saying, "Hey, you've got a deal, and you've got a conference that's not going to go anywhere."
Yeah,
I mean, there's something to be said for that. I mean, from a Conference USA perspective, Judy McLeod finally did a good job for the conference. Problem is, I don't think it's that great for WKU because WKU is one of the teams that could possibly get out of the conference. Jacksonville
should have already
State,
been.
like, there were some people. Yeah, I mean, right. But Jacksonville State people were like, I don't see what the problem is. Yeah, because you just moved up. And now you feel secure and you feel like everything's going to be fine. It's different for the teams that are barely in the conference and barely even made it in. Versus the teams that have been here a while could possibly go somewhere.
You know, okay.
What about
when I was a kid? My mother and grandmother used to go. They'd go to Smiths Grove and a little community outside of Bowling Green, and they had some business to handle. And then they'd go back and they'd get Wendy's and bring it home. Okay, so in this story, I'm Jacksonville State. Every week they'd bring home Wendy's. We thought Wendy's was great. I've told my mother this. I thought Wendy's was like a high-end fast food place. Swear to God. Yeah, it's not. Just so the listeners who have no idea, Wendy's is not high-end fast food. I'm pretty sure I got food poisoning from there. Not that one, but from one in Radcliffe, just saying. But, yeah. So, that in that situation
is going on in Radcliffe.
Yes, they have a Starbucks now, so watch yourself. But they that's maybe where Jared's at. I don't know. I haven't checked it out. But but like what I'm saying is though, like you said, they're the new guys at the table. They're like, yeah, we get $800,000 and we'll stay here for 6 years. Of course, why wouldn't we? And you're like, I can think of a lot of reasons we need to leave this conference, but like you said, we'll have to see.
It just it's inflexible. That's the scary thing for people.
Yes,
and you have even more obstacle in a time when it looks like there might be some more. There's definitely going to be some kind of reshuffling one way or another, and we're stuck where we are, which is what everybody was complaining about when we got stuck in Conference USA. It's like the worst fear ever being confirmed and doubled down on.
Yes. Like I said, we'll be back next week. We'll be talking South Florida, be getting ready for that, talking some more news, seeing if there's anything actually leaked, any more details on the grant of rights that's leaked out anymore. If it hasn't or whatever, we'll figure out. We'll have some news for you to talk about, and we'll be, like I said, we'll be back next week. So whole new season this year. We're going to be trying to get some new updates in. We'll be trying to do maybe doing some more video. We'll go into the video side of things. I've got to work out some details and see if it's possible for us to start into that, but we'll see. But just stick with us. We'll be here till at least maybe April. We'll see. But as always, guys, go Tops.